Hello, AJ Catanzaro here with my buddy Wes. Welcome to the Rocky Mountain ATV MC YouTube channel. Today we are in the high desert and we're on some old bikes. He's on a 1995, is it a WR?
WR 250.
And I'm on a 1994 WR 250. Both of these are pretty darn similar. We're going to work the section right behind us, just a left-hand sand berm. I have not watched Wes ride yet. Oh, by the way, we're on these bikes because tomorrow we're racing a Glen Helen 24-hour endurance race, which should be fun, or it could totally not be fun. I guess only time will tell. Sand berm behind us. Haven't had rain here in probably years. Super dry, super silty, very, very tricky. I'm not gonna say why yet, but I think the cool thing what we'll do with this video is I'll just send you out, have you do a couple passes, ride how you normally would, and then I'll basically tell you everything you're doing wrong and maybe some of the things you're doing right, and then I shall try to fix it, and we'll see your natural progression. What skill level rider are you, first of all?
B-level, intermediate.
Moto or desert woods stuff?
Intermediate moto and probably expert desert.
Oh, okay. So expert desert. So you're probably more used to kind of crappy conditions like this, I would imagine.
Yep.
For me, I'm from the East Coast. I'm used to ruts, right? And I'm used to tacky dirt. So for me, I struggle a bit with this, and there's a couple specific techniques that you can use. I'm sure you might already implement them, seeing as how you're used to this stuff. Go hit it a couple times. Don't go crazy. Forget the inside line. We're gonna hit the outside.
Okay. And
then I'll talk to the camera, say a couple things we can work on, and then I'll try to demonstrate through as well. So we'll see. That was actually pretty good. A little bit lazy with the inside foot, which you guys know if you watch my channel, I'm always a stickler about that. But the one thing that I planned on talking about, because it's so important in this corner, is upper body stability and not falling inside of the bike. He just did a great job at that. If you watch that back, even though the bike began to wash out, his upper body didn't budge. That was even better. That was even better. So if he were one of my students, I would say, hey, listen, like there's no need for the inside foot to be out. I guess I'll wait till he gets back and I'll give the feedback to him. How did those feel?
they felt okay. Not great. Not great speed. And
technique-wise, did you feel like you screwed anything up, or did they feel pretty clean?
It felt different as far as body position, one to the next.
Is there anything specific that you focus on when you go into a corner like that, body position-wise or technique-wise?
I'm trying to sit down at the last second.
Okay. Do you know why?
Well, actually, it probably doesn't matter much in this corner because it's fairly smooth coming into it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I guess that's just habit for me.
I'm guilty of that too, and I shouldn't say guilty because it's more preference than anything. I always tend to stand super late into corners, just because when you sit for a corner, and this goes for everybody watching, this is actually pretty important. When you sit, even though the position that I teach to sit in is fairly neutral, especially on these bikes, you can't get forward even if you wanted to with the big gas tanks. When you sit, naturally you're gonna put more weight to the front. So if you're on a surface that you don't really trust, which I'm usually pretty skeptical of most surfaces, unless it's like really, really tacky East Coast dirt, and you know you can get that weight down to the front tire and trust it, I usually wait to sit. The one thing I said to the camera, you did a great job of both times, equally as good, if not better than I can do, is your upper body was very stable. Now, I don't know if you pay much attention to that when you ride, but when you go around the corner, what I say is always the secret to hitting turns is tightening your abs when you go around so that your head doesn't move, and then keeping both elbows up. Mm-hmm. And for a lot of you guys listening, you might say, oh, well, elbows up, that's the first thing I learned when I ride a dirt bike. But it becomes so important when you're in corners, any type of turn, but especially one like this that your front end and the bike just wants to constantly wash out. You need to keep both elbows squared up and then just stabilize. So even as your foot dabbed and touched the ground, even as the bike kind of went out from under you a little bit, your head didn't move. Mm-hmm. And that's what creates consistency in turns. The guys that you see struggle in corners are the ones that are riding through turns like this, and they're constantly falling inside of the bike. And that's how you make major mistakes. You know, footwork is important, and if I were to give you any specific instruction, I would say try to just, especially a 90-degree turn, there's really no reason to put your foot out, right? And that's more mental than anything, because we've just all learned to ride by sit down, boop, foot out for no reason, right? Because why is your foot out in that turn? It's just making you probably feel a little bit better.
Start to fall, yeah.
Yeah. It's an extra movement that you don't have to do. So, especially tomorrow, when we're going to be out there for an extended period of time riding for that long, the less movements you can make, the better. So if you can save yourself to whoop and back in every turn, that's going to add up over the course of an hour or however long you're out there, right? It's tougher in 180 turns, but in a 90-degree like this, it's super easy. If you saw Tomac go through this turn, or Roxon, or Hurlings, or a high-level GNCC guy like any of the, like, you know, factory KTM dudes, I bet you they would just either stand up the whole way, or if they did sit, they would just keep both feet on. That would be my guess. You want to give it a couple tries with both feet on, see how you feel? Just make sure, and you know, I think, when you leave both feet on, some riders have a tendency to accidentally weight the inside peg. So just make sure that your inside foot is tight, but your outside foot is the only one putting pressure down.
Okay, that makes sense.
And then upper body, nothing changes, because your upper body was good.
Okay. We'll see how it goes.
Oh, see? I could have bet money that was going to happen. So he gets nervous, and when he got nervous, the upper body came out of position, right? So the only thing that caused the major mistake there was the elbow dropped and the head went. So you have to put emphasis on that inside elbow. Tighten the abs, keep the inside elbow up. Because ultimately, this inside foot in a lot of situations, especially right here, is only acting as like that insurance policy. That was great. That's good. So he's slow on the entry, which is fine, to be honest. I mean, I always say create the consistency first and then the speed will come. So I would never rush a rider right off the bat. But for all of you guys watching this, I highly recommend just try it. It's gonna take some time to get comfortable. So your first pass, exactly what I guessed would have happened. So you had a mini moment of panic and the inside elbow dropped and the head went.
Yep.
And then second time through, you focused on sitting a little bit more upright. Like I could tell you were resisting the urge to come forward. You kind of put a little bit more weight neutral and you're fine. Like that last one looked exactly how your first two looked, just cleaner with the footwork. It just, the feet on the pegs takes a while to get confident with it.
Yeah, old habits die hard. Because it's just, yeah, that's what you think to do in every corner, but.
Yeah, you're wired that way. At classes, I have people, I go through the spiel, I tell them to do it, and then I see them go out in session and they sit down, the foot goes out, and then they put it back to the foot peg and they shake their head because they're like, ah, crap. It just automatically happens. So, and that all started with me, 2016, I tore my ACL. And like from that moment on, I vowed, I'm like, okay, I didn't crash, I just put it down and I tore it. And so ever since then, I'm like, I just don't want that thing anywhere near the ground. So I finished racing that season with both feet on the pegs, got surgery, and then when I came back from surgery, I started riding with both feet on. And simultaneously, I started noticing a lot more people utilizing it. And the better you get at it, the more you realize it's kind of useless to put your foot out in so many situations. Other than that, man, I mean, your entry is pretty slow.
Yeah, for sure.
You take a little bit to get your downshift. What I would say is like, be a little bit more precise with taking that to the next level would be tire tapping or doing something to make sure you get both tires down on the landing of that last roller. Because you were still getting a little bit kicked and the bike was too high up in the stroke. And you weren't getting settled in early enough. So the goal would be to, right where the tree starts is the last roller.
Yep. You
want to do everything you can to tire tap or double or whatever and get on the downside of that so the bike is in its happy place settling. Because you were definitely on the throttle, like not until probably 80% of the way through the turn. If we could get you getting on more 40 or 50% through, that would be better.
Okay.
But overall, pretty darn good. This is a tough corner, even though it is only a 90-degree. There's no hold at all.
Well, it's weird because the exit, it falls away from you. There's a hole right after it, so.
Yeah, that's a good point too. So if you can catch that on the camera, on the exit, you would essentially have two options, right? Either you have to stand so ridiculously early to lighten the bike over that hole, or what you can kind of do is you can let the bike go into the hole, and then it's naturally going to compress and unload the suspension, which is also going to naturally compress and unload your body and your butt off of the seat. And then if you pan to the left, it sets you up for a bigger hole. So you can actually basically just use that to preload out of the section and get over the big hole, because you don't want to end up in that big divot. You want to try to get to the plateaus, obviously, and keep that back tire on the ground. But that was good. Making me look bad because I don't even want to really demonstrate, because I don't know if I could do it any better. The only thing
Try it. Let's go do it.
Oh shoot. Well, all right. I'll hop in behind you. Yeah, try to just clean up and that entrance a little bit and get on the throttle like tad earlier. He's quick. He's probably going through it faster than I am.
Wow, dang.
Yeah, all right, I give you credit because I'm giving you all this advice on doing this timing coming in. You can't see anything.
It's hard.
Like when I got to that shadow, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna tire tap and come into this turn. You couldn't see at all. I felt like I was pretty consistent, but I was very slow. Very slow.
Yeah, it's so weird being coached, because I've never really been coached before, and so it's all just by feel and what feels fast.
Right.
So it's like, and again, like habits die hard, right? So it's like what you've been doing is hard to change.
When the frustrating part about when you're breaking a bad habit, you have to go ultra slow. I'm talking, you have to ride at 30%, you know, and a lot of people don't have that patience. So for those of you learning, for those of you searching on YouTube how to do this, how to do that, take it in, try it, and make sure that when you're trying it, you're doing it at 20-30% speed, and also know that it's not going to happen in one day. If you've been, how long have you been riding for?
Shoot, probably almost 15 years.
Yeah, I mean, you've been riding for 5, 10, 15, 30 years. It's going to take a long time to break a bad habit. It might take a year. It might take 2 years. But what I will say is that the way that I teach, I think, is just a very simplified way. It strips everything away. When I'm out there, I don't use the clutch that often. My feet stay on the pegs the whole time. I'm standing the majority of the time. I'm not really, I'm using the controls a whole lot. I just try to be smooth and consistent. And for the average person, that's all you want. Like these people, everyone that comes to my classes, what are they searching for? You have the 1 or 2 that are maybe trying to go pro one day, but 99.9% of people just want to show up on the weekends, go a little bit faster, beat their buddies, flow a little bit better, and probably most importantly, not get hurt.
Yeah, be safe.
And the way that I teach is just, it's safe, it's simple, it's consistent. You can be the guy that goes out and hits the corner the same time 100 times in a row and never messes it up. And I think that's cool. When I watch Roxon on TV, when you watch Jet Lawrence on TV, it's always like, I am attracted to watching the guys that look like they're not trying, right? So that's how I teach. But hey, good job. Are you on my team tomorrow, or are you on the other team?
Nope, we're splitting up. So.
Oh, so we're competition. All right.
Yeah, head to head.
I like this bike though, but make sure you guys watch the video series of, you have the bike builds and everything in the video series too?
Yep.
All the way from the beginning. And then they're gonna have, I'm sure, tomorrow when our team smokes yours, that'll be on there as well. So
just have to wait and see.
All right, make sure you guys subscribe to the Rocky Mountain ATV MC channel. That subscribe button somewhere below. Also, if you want, subscribe to my channel, AJ Catanzaro. Maybe if they're kind enough, they'll link it below. And I suppose good luck tomorrow, dude.
Cool.
And be safe, guys. Toodaloo.